Hey, what's up? I'm Scott LaRock, welcoming you to the 2020 Crop Over Souvenir. Joining me to bring you all the sights, sounds, fun, and festivities is Allison.
Thanks, Scott. The Nation Publishing has been publishing the Crop Over Souvenir for many years. With no festival this year, we're going to present to you the 2020 Crop Over Souvenir, the digital series.
We're going to be chatting with the likes of Allison Hines, RPB, Edwin, and so many more as they tell us what Crop Over means to them.
Conducting the interviews for this year's Crop Over Souvenir is the nation's very own Andrea King. In this episode, we'll highlight some young, outstanding performers who will continue to carry the Crop Over Festival for many years to come.
Right. Earlier we were talking about the evolution of the festival and how it became the Crop Over Festival that you know today. And we talked about the increase of competitions, the sweet soca, the party, and we talked about the private events, lots of fetes. We talked about the National Cultural Foundation's calendar. You plan to continue singing calypso. Eventually you might become a leader in this whole culture thing. What would you, where do you see the Crop Over Festival going?
I definitely see it becoming a lot more innovative. I think with the coronavirus pandemic, it has forced us to look into ways to make our festival virtual, and I realize that we've started doing that, and I really like the initiative, and I like a lot more the initiatives I see coming up. That's why I really love the Festive Fridays initiative, because in Barbados our major source of income comes from our tourists, and tourists travel to Barbados to see our culture. So a lot of the times we get heavy tourism in our Crop Over Festival because that's what they come for. With Festive Fridays, you get that crop over feeling every time you come, and that's the one thing I love about it.
Over, I think we really need to get the festival international. Obviously, there are people who are somewhat affiliated with other Barbadians, and a Barbadian may go home and go overseas and tell their family member, and their family member may tell someone else. But I think that people who are not affiliated with Crop Over and with Barbados still need to see Crop Over. I think that artists need to have a broader avenue for to get their music internationally. I know, for instance, there's Spotify and there's Apple Music, and as Barbadians, we do not have access to those platforms. We can't get our music on those platforms, and those are some of the biggest music platforms and streaming platforms in the world. And if as Barbadians and as Caribbean people we can't get our music on those platforms, then the music stays local. And so therefore I think that in order for our music and for Crop Over to really expand, and for an artist to make it big with calypso or with soca, we need to have those opportunities and those types of avenues.
The young calypsonians make some interesting observations about why their contemporaries prefer soca and bashment to calypso.
At the end of the day, it comes down to a preference. Me personally, I've pretty much been born into calypso, and I love taking things from the standpoint of a social commentary. I think that with social commentary you can really say a lot more, and you can express yourself a lot more. The soca and the bashment of recent times have really just been walk up and you go down and that kind of stuff. But with the social commentary, I think that there are a lot more topical issues, and you can see a lot more. You're sitting down, you're driving somewhere, and you're listening to Down to Brass Tacks, and you're like, oh my god, this needs to go into my social commentary. So I think that things that are really going on within the country, within the economy, you find more in calypso. I think that as young people, we really just need to take up the role, take on the baton from obviously the older folks like the Gabbies and the Red Plastic Bags and the Observers, and we need to recognize the importance of calypso and really take on the role of continue singing calypso.
Everyone has their preference, and for me, commentary can come with pace, it can come slow. A story is a story, but it depends on the stories that you're interested in. If I go to a library and I am into a certain genre of books, I pick up the book that I like at the end of the day. So I think that that's it all in all. If it is trend to listen to soca or whatever the case is, because we are a people that are heavily influenced by the decisions and choices made by people around us. If it is trend, I see that we gravitate towards what trend is. But for me, I love my roots. I love commentary. Like Quon has stated before, I want to and I will carry on the legacy for what it is. I will be that, that patriot like Observer would have alluded to in one of his songs, for the cause, and carry it on and hope that it live on and hope that people could respect it for what it is in a few years' time. We could only attest to what we know for some reason as a people. That's the cultural norm. So if all I know, and we have this thing of being stuck in our ways, so the older demographic is anything sweet soca, anything parties, that's foolishness. I don't want to hear it, because you know what, I only know of commentary and I am not changing my mindset, and I am swerving, I in commentary lane, and that's what it is. And if it is not, if I can't hear a drum machine rolling in the back, dine it. But then there are other people now, the younger folk now is man, I'm so tired. Who's listening to a song for 5 minutes? Who's doing that? When I could go and listen to a song for 2 or 3. So we only, attest to what we know. So I guess everybody has been saying so far, point of view and perspective is what we should highlight.
I think Quon definitely hit the nail on the head. And I will say I think it has a lot to do with the way we are brought up. When I was coming up as a kid, I knew nothing about bashment at all. It wasn't called bashment at the time. It didn't have its own competition. I was brought up hearing calypso, hearing social commentary. I was brought up falling in love with the art of storytelling, and that love only grew when I joined theater, so I was fueled to do calypso even more. So I definitely think that the preference comes from the way we are brought up. I think my generation and the generation under me, they come up familiarizing themselves with bashment, and hence therefore why their preference is bashment. But we came up in a time when calypso was our bashment. When you get to sing calypso and you get to jump around the house and dance and have a blast. So I definitely think that they gravitate more towards bashment because that's what they are brought up hearing, whereas we were brought up hearing calypso. And just for me personally, I love the art of storytelling. I love all of the different ways in which you can look into a particular topic and make it so different. Say for instance, over the years there have been a zillion and 2 HIV songs. But what I always find interesting is perspective and point of view. So there was a little girl, I cannot remember her name, but I think she works with Terry. Her point of view is she sang it. No, it was actually about abuse. And she sang it from the point of view as a child, where she was asking her parents not to do that in front of her at all. Star Diamond. That was her point of view on abuse. I sang an abuse song, and my point of view on abuse was a teenager being abused. An adult in Pickety Crop will sing a abuse song, and it will be more so catered to domestic abuse. So for me, when it comes to social commentary, I always fall in love with perspective and how you are able to look at a topic and sing it in a way that is not the norm. That's what I really, really love about calypso and really about the art of storytelling, and that's why I personally fell in love with calypso. But as I said earlier, it's about how you're brought up and what you're brought up hearing, and we came up hearing calypso and they came up hearing bashment, so that's why their preference would be bashment over calypso.
The three performing artists have their say about choosing a career in the musical art forms of calypso versus soca and the bashment.
So at the end of the day, we as artists, we are spending money in order to produce songs in crop over, and I think that we need to reap the rewards with our music. So if calypso is to be seen as viable and people can make a living out of it, the authorities, the people in charge, will need to provide artists with those opportunities to see it as that, and pretty much increase prize money and provide other opportunities. So therefore, that's why people are leaning more towards the bashment. I mean, the prize money there's not a huge difference. However, the bashment will always take the edge because that's the trend and that's what's happening. And at the end of the day, when one goes to a party, they're going to hear soca, bashment. The people are dancing to soca and bashment, and they're not dancing to calypso or social commentary as in back in the day. Obviously, when they went into your granny or your mom would tell you, when they went into a party back in the day, it was Red Plastic Bag, I Can't Find Me Brother. Those are the songs. People are dancing to those songs. But at the end of the day, bashment is what is controlling. Bashment and soca is what was really controlling the festival. And if calypso is to take on that role, the steps need to be put in place in order to see that fit.
It's all down to preference. Again, what does the market prefer? You know, what would sell? You know, if I say, here's the brand, I am Yahandje. People want to know, what does Yahandje have to offer? What can Yahandje add to the industry? Why should I, as a promoter, pay Yahandje to be on my show? Would people want to see her? So versatility and being able to fit in every sphere around this place is actually something that's actually very, very viable also. Being able to twist and turn in the different realms. Like, for me, I think that art is ever flourishing, and we shouldn't be having to make a decision on whether or not I sing commentary or whether or not I sing soca, if I'll make money or if I won't. I should be, I should be authentically me, and that should be what it is. Like, people should accept, and I mean locally, let's start locally. People should accept Quon for who he is. People should accept Kimori. People should accept me for who I am, and be like, you know what, let's show some respect to this art. Let's support what's homegrown. Let's support local first, and that's how it could lift. If we support as a collective, all hands on that, like Minister John would have alluded to in a song, all hands on that. There is strength in numbers and strength in unity. That's the only way how things lift. So if we see it from that perspective, as in everybody has a role to play in this music thriving and lifting off the ground, off of this gem and soaring in the world, we would reap the benefits.
Keep watching the 2020 Crop Over Souvenir, the digital series, as we talk to some of the men and women who have made the festival what it is today.